Are you feeling the calling to start or grow a business that is so aligned with you and everything that makes up who you are? Do you know that there has to be a way to do this without so much hustle and without chasing the latest shiny objects, but you're just not sure how? You can definitely have a dream business that improves, not consumes your life, that allows you to work with soulmate clients while helping you and your family financially and in all ways. You can elevate yourself to be the entrepreneur who has all of her desires. I'm going to show you how on the Elevated Femmes movement. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Elevated Femmes movement. Today, I'm joined by Christina Whiteley, and she's one of my a fellow member of one of the coaching groups that I'm in, and she's also a mom. She's a business strategist and social marketer, and she's actually from Canada, but moved to Mexico with her family. And I'm so excited to chat with you, Christina, and to learn more about your journey. So I'm going to pass on the microphone to you and have you tell us a little bit about your story and how you got started with all the things that you're doing.
Sure. It's so interesting. When we're little kids, we think about, what our life is going to look like. And we think about, we go to school, we find a partner, we get married, we have kids, we buy the house, we work 40 years and then retire and then live out our retirement, right? Like that's kind of like what we've been taught. It's a sequence of things. And to me, that just seemed very boring. And I just couldn't get out of the headspace that is that all there is to life? And many people, that's okay. And I think, you know what, in my next life, I'm coming back as a gardener and just that's the only thing that I appreciate. And I don't want to do anything else because let me tell you, building business is not for the faint of heart. Yeah. But when you have this purpose in your heart, I knew from a very young age that I wouldn't have put it this way when I was a kid. That I was meant for more. And what I mean by that is I was meant to help people in a bigger way. I was always pulled to this. And it's really interesting because I had a conversation with a friend a couple of days ago from Mexico. And they're like, I actually ran into somebody that knew you from your childhood. And they're like, oh my God, what she's doing now is what she was made to do, which is so interesting because I didn't see that. I actually got bullied a lot as a kid because I was different and because I was outspoken and because I was always, I wasn't scared to try new things and I wasn't scared to put myself out there. I started singing competitively when I was 7. So I would sing in church, I'd sing at hockey games, I'd compete, I'd sing solos in front of the whole school. It just didn't bother me. But in that process of being bullied, I also brought people with me. So when I saw other kids get bullied, I'd be like, don't worry, you can come have a sleepover at my house this weekend. Who cares about that person, right? And so I would always bring people with me. And that's why I knew in my heart of hearts that I was meant to serve people. And so I, like a good girl, went to university because that's what my parents told me to do, right? And it wasn't the right environment for me. I'm not somebody that could sit in a classroom and pay attention for long periods of time. I just would fall asleep. I would just be so bored and I would just fall asleep. I did not make a lot of friends in university. Okay. I was the weird girl that slept through class and it wasn't my thing. And so I realized after a couple of years, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a teacher. I flew to Toronto and ended up going to school for vocal jazz performance out there and had a blast. And then I realized I don't want to be broke or sleep my way to the top of an industry, which is what female musicians usually have to do. And so I was like, this is not in alignment with who I am. And so the reason I'm telling you all these pieces is because you have to fail your way forward. You have to try all of these things until you realize what your values are, what your morals are, and what is really truly in alignment with who you are. Because I thought I wanted to be Britney Spears. I thought I wanted to be on stage, Christina Aguilera, I wanted to be, and I always knew that I was made for stage, but it wasn't in the way that I thought, right? It wasn't that I wanted the attention. And I actually found it very, it was not fulfilling for me to be a musician. I'd play and I'd sing in bars and all these, oh, that's amazing. Come over and you get all this attention. That was empty to me. I didn't feel like I was making an impact. And so I ended up leaving that and going to school for hair because I inevitably wanted to be a mother. That's what I really wanted to do, is be a mom. And so I went to school for hair. I ended up owning my own salon and on-site wedding business and loved doing that, had my own schedule, all that kind of stuff. But the cost of doing living or the cost of doing business, cost of living that right now is insane, but the cost of doing business at the time was going up and up and up, and I was making less money. And I was like, I cannot continue to trade dollars for hours because I don't want to work 80 hours a week. And it was like, oddly enough, this trip that Ryan and I had made, my husband and I had made, we'd driven from Vancouver Island, Canada, all the way down the coast, like Washington, Oregon, California, all the way down to the Baja, just north of Cabo San Lucas, where we live now. And we did that for about 8 weeks. We took this big road trip, right? I thought I had my life made, but I didn't tell people I was working 14-hour days for 2 weeks straight on either side of that trip. Like I was burning out on either side just so I could take the time off. And so was I really free? No. But we created an environment that I thought that I was at the time. And then there was this moment when we were sitting on the beach in Mexico and this couple came up and they were in like this little surfer van. And I said, you make small talk. And I was like, what do you guys do for work? Like, are you here for a few weeks? Like, what's your plan? And they're like, oh, we're actually driving to Cabo San Lucas. So it's not lost on me that we live here now. Like there was a vision. And they're like, we're just going to see if we like it. If we do, we're going to stay. And I was like, you don't have like an office or a schedule or anything that you need to go back to? Like how, like, I don't understand. Like and this was like 10 years ago. Like this was not popular at all 10 years ago. Yeah. And she runs back to her van and comes over and hands me a little skincare sample, And so she was in network marketing, but I didn't even know what network marketing was. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so that night around the campfire, my father-in-law, he was also down here as well. And he said to me, Christina, the problem with your business being in the salon is that people come to see you, but you can't leverage your time. And I said, absolutely. So we need to figure out this online thing because that's how the world is evolving. This is how things are going to transition. And I want the freedom and flexibility that those people have. Like, that's what I want. And so I took that knowledge and did nothing with it for about 4 years. I went about my ways. I went back to work. I went back to the grind. And until I realized, look, like my quality of life in that environment to work at every single weekend to do weddings, evenings, miss out on my daughter's life. I just realized like this was not actually the life that I wanted. And so you have to adjust course and pivot, right? And so I actually got into, unbeknownst to me at the time, I got into online marketing because I saw a woman sitting at the beach with her kids on a Wednesday making money from her phone. And I was like, what have I done wrong in this life that I don't live that life? Like, that's what I want to do. Like, what is going on? And so she was in network marketing, but I didn't know what that was. I had no idea what that was. But she was making $20,000 a month. And I was like, I am doing something wrong. Like, I need to learn. And this woman, by the way, I'd known her from 10 years prior when I was a bartender, and she'd come in, she was a house cleaner. And I was like, how is this house cleaner making 20 grand a month? Like, are you serious? I'm getting up. I'm pregnant at the time, puking my guts out, like every single day at 5 a.m., going to weddings. And I'm like, and she does this? Like, she used to scrub toilets. What the hell? And so I called her over and I was like, tell me what you're doing. And she taught me what she did. And within a year, I was doing the same thing. And I was just like, okay, so now what? And I realized, in the course of building business, I had some money mindset, some stuff that I needed to work on, because when I started making a lot of money, I actually got really anxious and sick to my stomach. Like, I would wake up in the morning and I'd be nauseous. I'd be stressed. And I was like, we are financially free as far as I knew, right? Like, I was like, we live this great life. We have our family. I get to work from home. My husband's home. Everything is fabulous. But I wake up every day with the worst anxiety. And I realized over that period of time that it was because I didn't feel worthy of the money I was making. And I had to learn my value. I had to learn that your value equals your dollar amount. And the more you learn, the more valuable you are to other people, the more money you make. And so I just found an industry where my skill set was extremely valuable, and then I could grow upon that. And so as I started to grow, look, things need to shift and change. I love helping the basic person, like the bottom level. And I don't mean bottom level, like no value, but I just mean like people that have never been in the industry before. I really love helping them build business. But what truly lights me on fire is helping entrepreneurs who are go-getters, who are motivated, who have ideas. That's what truly lights my soul on fire. So I was like, I want to work with them and help them build bigger business. I want to help them make more money. I want to help them take a product or a service or their idea and grow it into making an income around the life that you want to live. Because so many people work their butts off to take a luxury vacation or buy their dream vehicle, which, by the way, you can still do. But if you learn to make money around who you are, what gifts you have, and the lifestyle that you want to live, it never feels like work. Like I was walking down the road today with my dog. Like every morning I walk my daughter to school, I walk my dog to the beach, watch the whales, feet in the sand, ground myself, come back. And I'm like, I live like I'm on vacation every day. Like this is I get to live this life. And the gratitude that I feel for that is unmatched to anything else in my life, because we had the courage to take a risk. And that's really what this is all about, is learning what the next right step is for you, realizing that your faults or the things that you see as mistakes are actually just pushing you in a different direction so that you can learn a different skill set. Or maybe you shouldn't be going down this path and things are very, very challenging for you. And if you just, pivoted 30 degrees to the left and took this road, that you'd be fine. And so I find that a lot of the times in life, we hold ourselves back because we want to make the right decision, the perfect decision. But there is no perfect or right decision. There's your decision on what's in alignment with you, right? And so that's what brought us to Mexico a couple of years ago. Like it's been a year and a half, and we just decided, with the way of the world and COVID and all the stuff that was going on, we're like, I unsubscribed to all of this. I don't want to do any of this. So we're just going to take a family adventure and go to Mexico, where the doors are open. Nobody's talking about COVID. Their economy is open. They have no debt. And they have got a long ways to come up. There's a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity down here. And so we're like, why not take our daughter down here? She can learn how to speak Spanish. We'll learn how to speak Spanish and just make an adventure of it all. So that's how we landed here.
That's amazing. What a great story. And I know you covered so much already, but I want to just go back and highlight a few things. Number one thing, living life on your terms. I think that is something that's hard to do for a lot of people because, like you said, we are conditioned by society, by our parents, by the next door neighbors, everybody around us that, this is the path to being successful or being worthy, whatever it is. And it can be so scary, right? Like for me personally, I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't understand online business. So when I went to school, I thought, I want to have my own gym one day because I was very into fitness and wellness and all that. So my idea of being a business owner was owning a gym. And when I, had my traditional jobs, and every single job, I would work my butt off and get so emotionally attached to every job that I ever had, and be in tears if I didn't get the promotion that I wanted. I just realized this isn't for me. There has to be something else. And it took me a while to come across online business actually. And I actually also did a network marketing company. It was skincare. And even though I, ended up only doing it for a little bit, it taught me a lot of what to do and what not to do. And so even though I guess somebody can look at me and be like, oh, well, she failed at, her network marketing business. I don't think of it as a failure. I think it was the stepping stone that brought me to what I'm doing now. And even my current business, it's actually my second business because I had a successful fitness coaching business. And I think it's all about not being afraid to reinvent yourself and do things that light you up and see how can you help people? Because that, after all, that's being in business means that you're helping people. You're helping somebody solve a problem. So I would just love for you to kind of touch on living life on your own terms and how you were able to unsubscribe from the ideals that society and everybody around us tend to want to indoctrinate us with. So how are you able to do that?
And it's funny because this conversation, Julia, comes up a lot. How did you figure this out? I'm from a middle-class family that taught me how to get a job to pay my bills to retire, right? I didn't have that vision. And even for it's just now my grandma, who's 94 is starting to realize, oh, this is in your heart. This is the Holy Spirit speaking through you. This is your intuition. You were meant to do this, but they never really understood that breaking out of the system. Right. I'm going to suggest a couple books right now, because I think that this is a very important topic for the way of the world and what's actually happening right now. And so I think knowing your history is really freaking important. Okay. And so in that process, like I just got this book the other day called Principles for Dealing with a Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. And he also has another book called Principles for Navigating Big Debt Crisis. So the reason that I'm bringing that up is not to be a doom and gloom, but to make you realize that our history, even though we don't know what the outcome is going to be different than what it's been in the past. But history repeats itself in cycles. And so just because we haven't seen a cycle like this in our lifetime doesn't mean that it hasn't happened. Doesn't mean that currencies haven't devalued and changed and powers haven't changed hands, because they have. And right now we're facing that with China and the US, right? And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because life as you know it before is about to shift and change. There's a massive opportunity for entrepreneurs right now and people that are critical thinkers looking for solutions for what will happen next. So when I started looking into the history of all these things, because I realized that past behavior would predict future behavior, I realized like what was going to happen and how we were going to have to evolve. I read a book called The Sovereign Individual, and it talks about using this information era to evolve into a new way of doing life, right? And so I get all of these pieces of information from people. I study, right? But Charles Darwin said it best. It's not the strongest or the most intelligent that will survive. It's the species that will adapt to its current conditions the fastest that will win. Okay. And so you have to be adaptable right now. There is craziness going on with AI right now. And like, it could be crazy bad or it could be crazy good. Okay. Depending on who's in control of that AI. But AI is poised to take over 80% of the jobs on the planet. And that is a reality in the next 5 to 10 years, probably sooner, but I'm going to put it there so I don't freak people out, right? So we have to evolve. You know, I look at, I was just having a conversation with a chartered accountant who went to school for 11 years to be a chartered accountant. Their company, their multi-million-dollar corporation, just let them go without notice because they now have a software that does his job.
Yeah.
Right. So how are you going to evolve, right? I said to him, I said, you know how you got to get ahead right now is you have to teach people how to keep their money, right? Like, you know, as an accountant, what to do, where to move your money around, you know, allocate funds and different retirement plans, like what you can do to save on taxes, because we're all being buried by taxes right now. So teach people how to use this to their advantage, right? And so he was always been doing this job, but if you just pivot a couple degrees this way, there is value in the knowledge that you currently have. And so I've always been a visionary in that I'm always thinking 3 steps ahead. Like, we moved to Mexico and like, I can't tell, like a year and a half ago, and I can't tell you how many people I have in my inbox every single day being like, I wish I'd done that then. Now I'm trapped. Now I'm this, now I'm that. I'm like, no, you're not trapped. Here's how you can do it, right? Like, so you have to be somebody that is willing to be a critical thinker, willing to study, willing to get around people. Like, that's why I know you, is because I wanted to be in a recession around the smartest people that I could connect with, right? And so like in our group who we coach with, those are some of the smartest human beings that are making moves right now in a recession. I have another coach that does the exact same thing in a different area of my life, right? And so when you surround yourself with people that are forward thinking, all of a sudden your ideas expand, you expand, and you realize there's so much room for opportunity and growth right now if you are willing to go after it, if you're willing to fail forward in that process. So that's what we did. We literally like made small, tiny plans, incremental steps. We thought we were going to live on the farm for a very long time. And it turns out that it wasn't the best investment for us. So we sold it at the top of the market so we could double down and buy 2 places. We decided that, hey, instead of focusing on building a cidery, we need to focus on real estate right now because of what's going on in the marketplace and how we can capitalize, right? Because every time there's chaos, there's opportunity. Every time like the sky falls, there's a lot of opportunity. So people get really freaked out when there's a depression or a recession or whatever it is. But I'm just like, okay, just waiting it out. Where are we going next? What are we doing next? And so like, that's when I get excited. But if you don't do your research and don't know your history, it can be a really scary time for people. And you have to realize that you have to take ownership of your life where you are right now, because nobody is coming to save you. and that you are a product. Where you are in life right now is a product of your habits and your standards. That's it. We are all made up of habits and standards. And so if you want more in life, you're going to have to change the rhythm of life and work faster and work harder right now because of what's going on in the economy to get ahead. But those that do, like, this is separating season. Those that work harder now, when spring comes, we're in winter, when spring comes, all of a sudden there's massive growth, massive opportunity, but it's those that have the vision and are willing to hold it right now and think through it and try and get ahead of it. Those are the people that win. And so on the side of this, like on a global scale, and definitely in North America, what could be like a huge depression, I want to be on this side, not on the losing end. Like, I don't want, and I'm going to take as many people with me to the winning side as possible, because you don't want to suffer through this. And I don't want people to suffer through it. I want them to take responsibility for their lives and not hinge it on an employer, an inheritance, retirement fund. I don't want them to hinge it on any of that. I want them to take responsibility and make moves forward that is going to protect them and their family.
I love that. 100% agree on everything. And yeah, all those things are things that we can't control. We can't control, whether we win the lottery, we get an inheritance, or all those things, or what happens to like a job. But we can take the steps to either create a business or, take our existing business and position it to withstand whatever is happening in the economy, any time of year, any day of the week, whatever. Right. I think that, like you said, there is a lot of opportunity. And the one thing that I would say to somebody who's like, well, I don't know, I hear so much, so much negativity. It's like, well, what do you want to believe? Like, how do you want to feel? And, get yourself in a room where there's other people that think positively and that can help you cultivate that mindset rather than like the doom and gloom mindset. So such great points that you made. So another thing, building a business, like you said, it is not for the faint of heart at all. And I'm so glad that you say that, because there's a lot of online coaches and online entrepreneurs who will sugarcoat and be like, oh, anyone can start a business tomorrow and make $1 million next week. Like, it's not for the faint of heart, right? So
don't buy those courses. Don't buy those courses, right?
No,
like,
please.
I had so many people come to me and be like, I bought this course, and I'm like, and how did it go? And they're like, I didn't get anything out of it. I'm like, weird.
Exactly. Yep. Totally get it. But how would you guide somebody? So somebody came to work with you, to be coached by you, to take their business to the next level, but they don't want to burn out. Either they burnt out in their corporate job, or, they're burning out in their current business. They're like, oh my God, I can't take anything on. I don't have time for more clients, but yet I need more clients. Like, how would you guide somebody to avoid the dreaded burnout in business?
Well, the thing is, I have so much empathy for that person, because I was that person. Like, I was the person that sacrificed sleep and was up till 2 a.m. and didn't get the 8 hours that I needed. I was the person that sacrificed exercise. I sacrificed my mental health. I sacrificed it all because I thought, I have to either build business or be with my daughter. Like, there can be no me time. There can be none of that, right? That isn't the case. And it's actually really toxic to feel that way. So like I said, I teach people to build business around their lifestyle. A lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, waste a lot of time because they start so many different things and they don't close them. They don't finish them, right? And they also focus on the things that make them feel good. So they put out pretty posts and they go and they do videos and they do whatever, but they actually don't do what makes them money, right? So in this economy right now, it's not about attraction marketing, curiosity marketing. Nobody has time for that. You have it like 1.5 to 2 seconds to gather somebody's attention. So your first line of your post or your video better damn well be good, right? Yeah. So you have a very short amount of time. Now, for somebody that's facing burnout, I'd say, let's look at your schedule. What does your schedule look like? Where is all your time going? Can you outsource any of that time? Can you get a house cleaner? Can you have somebody, prepare meals for you? Can you get somebody to help you and like carpool with the kids to sports and school? And, what are the things that we can work smart and not hard? Can you ask for help from a partner, right? But really getting it narrowed down to the activities that actually will move their needle forward, will move their business forward, because so many people don't do the work that is necessary. And if they had just switched a couple of their habits, right, a couple of their standards, if they just upgraded those, improve their skill set in those areas, they would have massive growth very, 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 very quickly. But they're focusing on the wrong thing. Why? Oh, let me tell you, because most people don't want to do what's hard to them, which means put themselves out there, put their product out there, put their service out there, like be vulnerable to the marketplace. And so I read this book called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. And I was, always a little bit nervous. I was bullied as a kid, so I was always a little bit nervous to put myself out there. And I realized when you shine a light on things that you may feel shameful for, like I got really bad hate from somebody a few weeks ago. Like somebody wrote in, like actually took the time to private message me hate. And I was like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. Like this doesn't feel good. So I took that information and like, I want to share this with your audience because I think it's so important. I took that information. I was like, is this true? No. Is this a threat to me? Is this dangerous? No. Is this something that I could reflect and learn upon, right? Is what he's saying something that I can reflect and learn upon? And in the hate, I was like, what message is he actually trying to get across? And so maybe there's a couple of things that I can reflect upon, and I'll take that and then I'll do better next time, right? But in that process, I also bat away all the shit that doesn't serve me at all, because nobody is going to care about your dreams as much as you do, and not everybody is going to agree with you. When you go out and you lead people, when you go out and do and make an impact and do things differently than most people, you are going to have adversity. You're going to have different opinions. You're going to have people try and take you down, right? And so it's really, truly learning to stand in your authenticity and what you believe in and be so convicted in what you do that nobody else can shake you. And then, like you said, surround yourself with really good humans, people that push you forward, people that help you learn, people that you're not scared to say, ooh, I messed that up. How could I get better? Because so many people are scared to do that. Whereas I'm just like, tell me how I get better. Like I will study, I will learn, I will get better because I don't want to be bad forever, you know? So that's exactly. that's it. That's as simple as that.
And I think one of the things as far as, burnout, like that you pointed to, is people, especially women, especially I feel like mothers, we are well known for doing this. We take on so much and we create unnecessary stress. So yes, that also prevents us from doing the things that are necessary, which, you want to think about, like, what are your values, right? Like, what are the things that are important to you? Like for me, for example, spending time with my kids. My kids are still young and I want to be there as much as I can for them. I still, take them to school, pick them up. Well, my older one takes the bus, but my little one, like I'm here, I put her down for her nap every day. So there's things that for me are like non-negotiable. I don't book calls during that time. I don't, look at anything client related. If I start to be like, oh my gosh, like I'm missing out on opportunity, or, oh gosh, like I'm leaving this client waiting for like an hour while I'm putting her down for a nap, that's like a sign for me, like, okay, well, what do I need to do? It doesn't mean that I'm going to stay stuck in this like feeling of like, oh, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling burned out. It's just, what do I need to do to change this? There's a solution to any problem usually. So, and also like delegating, right? Like you touched on it too. Like, what are the things? Sometimes it's the personal things that we need to delegate first, like getting somebody to come clean the house, carpooling, right? And then it's the business stuff. Like, what are the things in your business that you're doing? What are the things that you can hand off to somebody else? Or what are the things that maybe you need to stop doing that are not really, like the 80-20 rule? Like, what are those things that you can just stop doing because they're just not going to move you along? This is a time to really be like very intentional, I think, in everything that we do, to avoid any feelings like burnout or stress or overwhelm, because nobody wants to feel that way.
No, and they don't have to. And I mentioned AI was going to take over probably 80% of the jobs, maybe 90. But what's cool about AI is that it can make your life easier. It will improve how quickly we can do business, how quickly we can do the small little tasks. It'll improve that so that it will open up a lot more time. And that's why I think right now, focusing on who you are and your purpose in this world and how you give back is going to be imperative over the next 10 years as all of this shifts and changes, because you're going to have more free time. And there's going to be a lot of people that'll get stuck and lost in who they are and depressed because they don't have a path forward. And so I think it's important for people like you and I to lead the pack even if it's before it's popular, even if it's during a really difficult time economically, we still have to be a voice of positivity. We still have to be that lighthouse for people and say, look, like it will get hard, but there are opportunities here as we shift, like we did from, into the industrial revolution and then into capitalism and entrepreneurship. And like, it's going to shift again. And so be willing to adapt, be willing to listen, be willing to work for it, and be willing to be an example for your kids, right? Because, don't go down the spiral drain of negativity and be like, oh my God, the sky is falling. How do you want to behave so that your kids have a role model right now? That's 100%. What's important.
Yes, so much. In my fitness coaching business, my philosophy was always that I helped women make fitness improve rather than consume their lives. And when I created my podcasting business, what I say is that I help entrepreneurs build businesses that improve, but don't consume their lives. And I think that my philosophy has always remained the same, even though I've created these two different businesses. But it came, like the podcasting work came out of wanting to lock hands with other entrepreneurs and be able to guide them through the process of sharing their voice and sharing their message that other people need to hear. And a lot of times people come to me and they're like, well, I don't know if I'm quite ready yet. I don't know if I have a large enough audience, or if I don't know if know everything that I'm going to be talking about. And I love guiding people through that, because it's a very personal journey to get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm finally ready. And I think that, like you said, this is the time for people like you and me to really hone in on all those things that we love to do. And anybody who's listening and you're, that you have something special, something that can really change somebody's life and change somebody's business, this is your chance to shine. Because like Christina said, there's a lot of people that are going to quit. They're going to just, get
lost. They're going to be lost, right?
Exactly.
They're going to be lost in this. Yeah.
So there's your opportunity.
Yeah.
Christina, thank you so much for coming to chat with me today. I love this conversation. If people want to learn more about you, follow you, or contact you and work with you, where should they go?
So I am on Facebook. You can send me a message on Facebook, Christina Whiteley, Whiteley, and Christina like Christmas with CH. And I also am on TikTok and on Instagram at the Christina Whiteley. And you can send me a message or an email at info@ChristinaWhiteley.com.
Amazing. We'll share all those links. And thank you for listening. And I will see you again next time.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Elevated Femmes movement. I would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast, so please leave us a review. If you know someone who could benefit from the episodes on the show, please share it with them. We need more women elevating to their highest potential, enjoying all the great things in life, having plenty of time freedom for their children and loved ones, while doing things smarter and not harder, and growing a business that improves, not consumes their life. To connect with me and download my free resources, please go to www.juliamhickman.com.